Okay, so the third class I'm going to do is Warlock, because that's been the class I've been playing a lot of lately. Combo Warlock, Quest Warlock, I'm loving it. Been having a lot of fun with it, and I'm excited to see how that deck evolves into the next meta. So let's start here. Demonic Studies. Discover a demon. Your next one costs one less. I don't know what are the demons in the field, but this probably is not worth. Are there any new demons that we really want to be playing? Yeah, I mean there are, but like this doesn't fit into a deck with these two, the Soul Fragments. I just don't think it works that way. I don't think you care to play this in Zoo. We're never wanting to play this on 1 in Zoo, so this card sucks actually. This is going to be a 1. Good point. Raise Dead. Deal 3 damage to your hero. Return 2 friendly minions that died this game to your hand. This is kind of cool, kind of interesting. Obviously, this is a very late game play. This is a really interesting 0 mana card because 0 mana cards are, you know, by definition kind of oppressive, but I just don't think this one is really even playable like that. It's kind of nice to get a little bit of reach in the late game of something that you've already put into your deck, but it is random. I just don't know if it's going to be good enough. It's an interesting card for sure, but I don't think it's gonna see play. I'm gonna give this a 1.5. Soul Theologist Malicia. Really awesome payoff for the Soul Fragments. Let's talk about Soul Fragments really quickly. If you don't know, Soul Fragments are cards that you will shuffle into your deck. You shuffle them into your deck. There is 0 cost cards that when you draw them, you heal 2 health to your hero and then redraw a new card. So in Quest Warlock, for example, if you hit a Soul Fragment, it will actually move your quest forward by 2 cards because it counts as drawing the Soul Fragment and drawing the second card. However, post quest, if you draw a Soul Fragment off of your Soul tap, since you will draw the second card, you actually won't get the Soul tap discount on the second card. So that's actually super, super relevant. I think current iterations of Questlock are fast enough such that they don't necessarily need the extra draw off the Soul Fragment early in the game, which you're less likely to draw the Soul Fragment early in the game anyway when your deck is full. So I'm actually pretty sure you don't really want to play these in the quest deck because it's probably a bigger hindrance after the quest than it is a help before the quest. Maybe that gets offset by the fact that you're hitting your quest quicker with the Soul Fragments, and so you have more time to not hit the Soul Fragments off of your Soul tap. But I'm not feeling like it's going to do the job. And the other thing about Quest Warlock is it's such a slow combo deck. The healing is really, really, really crucial, and you really need to be able to get your healing in the fast bursts that you are able to get it. For example, off of your Sense Demons, where you're just grabbing your Brood Mothers and getting your 4 or 8 healing, your Moargs that are giving you 8 healing at one time. Just hitting 2 healing here and there, I just don't think is going to do it. I don't think it's going to be good enough. So I kind of am feeling like the Soul Fragments maybe just don't fit into the Quest Warlock build. So that being said, I think the Soul Fragment deck kind of has to be its own thing. And in that, this is kind of a really nice payoff card. 7 mana, 5/5. 5/5 is a great stat line for this. And for each Soul Fragment that you still have in your deck, you get to summon a Soul with Rush to kind of help control the board. I think that's pretty nice. You also are not destroying your Soul Fragments like you are with some of the other payoff cards. Most of the cards that you run that put Soul Fragments into your deck will put them in 2 at a time. I think they maybe all do, actually. But there's only maybe 2 or 3 that you're probably going to want to run. So maybe this, on average, will get you like 2 to 3 souls. I'm not sure how good that's going to be. Maybe you don't want to be playing that slow of a payoff card. So it's actually going to be interesting to see because I think on first look, this seemed quite strong. But in practice, I'm not sure how great it's going to be and how easily it's going to slot into your Soul Fragment decks as itself a win condition. So I'm going to actually give this like a 3.5, maybe a 4. Let's see how it goes. Soul Shear. Deal 3 damage to a minion and shuffle 2 fragments into your deck. Gosh, I'm having trouble reading this morning. Excuse me. This is pretty This is quite good, or pretty good. This is pretty good. It's like a Frostbolt that also puts Soul Fragments into your deck. Just pretty good. Nice board control tool. Maybe if you're playing like a zoo kind of thing, this kind of works in a zoo-ish deck. I'm not quite sure which direction the zoo is going to go in. I don't know if they're going to continue using the Hand of Gul'dan or whatever that card is that draws you through and you discard it, or if they're going to go in a more Gandling direction, and maybe those two don't work well together. We'll have to see. Maybe they go in like a Diseased Vulture direction, in which case these Soul Fragments are a lot more useful because that deck is really just hurting yourself. I think this is pretty solid. And I think actually now that I'm thinking about it, that deck makes a lot of sense. You play like Diseased Vultures, Neferset Thrashers, you play your Flesh Giants as your big payoff late in the game. You play your Tour Guides, your tapping as often as you can. You're dealing a lot of damage to yourself. And this actually is pretty useful in that deck. And you know what? Maybe even this Raised Dead could be kind of useful in a deck like that. If you're able to hit your Neferset Thrashers and you're able to hit your Diseased Vultures with any sort of frequency. I think if you're playing a lot of cheap cards, which I imagine you will be, Tour Guide, Voidwalker, things like that, maybe you don't want to use this, but like, how bad is it really to get another Tour Guide and be able to 1 mana activate your stuff? But it is costing you 5 damage to your hero to do something like that. So maybe Raised Dead still doesn't get to see play. But Soul Shear I think is going to be strong. I think it's going to be quite solid. I'm going to give this a 3.5. School Spirits. Deal 2 damage to all minions. Shuffle 2 Soul Fragments into your deck. For 3 mana, 2 damage AoE is pretty strong. I was talking to somebody on competitive Hearthstone about maybe can you just play a few Soul Fragments instead of the Dragon package in Questlock, and you can play this instead of having to play your Netherwings that are also damaging your face. The only thing is with the Soul Fragments, I just don't know. I just don't know how it works. In a Zoo deck, this is pretty counterproductive because you want the board, so you don't really want to be dealing damage to your board. Maybe as a little bit of a comeback mechanic in your Zoo deck that you can kind of play this, take care of a board that you've lost, and then kind of redevelop your own board, vomiting some of your things. Like maybe you play, and in the early game, you start off going second, and your opponent plays like a Blazing Battle Mage, or some sort of card, some sort of combination of cards early in the game such that it doesn't make sense for you to play some of your crappy some of your low cheap cards, because they will end up being crappy in that situation and get value traded into, and it just kind of sucks, and you have no way to kind of clear it after that. So maybe you hold your hand, you play the School Spirits to deal with their board, and then you can play your own board. But I just don't know how often you win the game as a Zoo style deck passing your first couple of turns, because your opponent just worked you. So I'm not sure how good this one is going to be. Maybe in a slower style Warlock deck, maybe in like a Galakron Warlock deck that's kind of a little bit of a hybrid between we're kind of going quick and we're kind of able to go slow and play a longer game. Maybe that's where this kind of fits in. I'm not sure. It's quite strong standalone. I just don't see the deck that it's fitting into, so I'm going to give it a 3 for now. Shadowlight Scholar. Destroy a Soul Fragment in your deck to deal 3 damage. This is cool. 3 mana, 3/4 is a good stat line. Dealing 3 damage is a very, very high tempo tool. Being able to play this on 3 is nice, but the problem is the only way, I mean, you can put this into your deck on turn 2, you can put this into your deck on turn 1, but if you're playing this one, how often do you really need the damage from this? I'm not sure. Not quite sure if this is going to really see a lot of play. I'm going to give this I really want to give it a 3.5, but I just don't know if it fits into the deck as well. I think a lot of your, I mean, maybe it does. Maybe it just does in a Zoo Soul Fragment deck. My problem is I'm really having trouble seeing what the Soul Fragments fit into. I like a Zoo build, but the Zoo build that I like for Soul Fragment is really hurting yourself, and like then you have competition on turn 3 for like Neferset Thrasher, things like that. You're going to be probably wanting to run like Magic Carpets and things like that in that deck too, so 3 mana slot is kind of full-ish, so maybe this becomes a 2.5 because of that? Not sure. Void Drinker. Ooh, huge payoff card for your Soul Fragments. Destroy a soul fragment to become an earth elemental with no overload. This is sick. This is nuts. This is one of the reasons that you're playing soul fragments. One of the only reasons you're going to be playing soul fragments. On 5, this is just mega powerful. Oh, mega powerful. Let's give this a 5. I think this is the payoff card that you want to be running your soul fragments for. I love it. Spirit Jailer, this is like a 4.5. This completely enables you to play soul fragments without this card. I don't know if we could even play soul fragments very consistently. 1 mana, 1/3 premium stat line for a 1-drop. Shuffle 2 soul fragments into your deck. This is just amazing. This is excellent. This is maybe even a 5. Archwitch Willow, 9 mana, 7/7. Summon a random demon from your hand and deck. This is maybe the worst card in the entire set. It's either between this and the Demon Hunter legendary that's 4 mana, 4/3 outcast. Like, shuffle a card from your opponent's hand into their deck or something that's kind of useless. It's pretty useless. This card sucks. 9 mana sucks. I don't even know what random demons there are that you want to play. Like, there aren't even good demons. There's just, like, that 8 mana demon is good, but what other demons are you playing? Most other decks have to play some sort of demon, and if you're playing a slow deck, control deck that enables you to get to the late game where you can actually play Archwitch Willow and not lose the very next turn, you have to be playing probably Moargs, and I don't think you want to hit Moargs off of this. I know you don't, in fact, because you don't want to give your opponent an easier way to deal with this 7/7 and the other thing that you've put on board. So this is horrible. This is like a 0 out of 5. On a scale of 1 to 5, this is a 0. I hate this card, and I pray that I don't have to get this card. Philosophy. Copy the lowest cost demon in your hand and give both 1/1/1 if this is outcasted. What do we want? We want a Voidwalker? No. We want another Netherbreath? Moarg? No, we're already running that. I think this card probably also sucks. I don't know what demon you want to copy. Maybe this, I guess. Maybe this, I guess. I just don't know. I'm just not really seeing it. This is like, I'm going to give this a 1.5. The problem is, like, the problem with cards like these is, sure, maybe you are wanting to play the effect, but the problem is you don't want to play the card. You don't want to have a 29 card deck because you have to play this philosophy. It sucks to have to play cards like this. So I just don't think it's going to be useful. I don't think it's going to make the cut. Just not good enough demons. Flesh Giant. This card is, we talked about this, right? That it's hard, it's really hard to get this to hit on turn 3 or 4, or on turn 4 or 5 when it's going to be making the maximum impact. Now, this was pre-Soul Fragments. Now, Soul Fragments will reduce the cost of this if you hit them, if you draw them. So that actually makes it a little more consistent that you can hit this. I think this makes sense in the self-harm zoo deck with the diseased vultures and things like that, because this is a huge payoff card there. You combine those things with the soul fragments, maybe you hit a nice balance, middle ground where you're actually not killing yourself as often as you think you are, and you're able to kind of play a bit more into the later game, where you're able to drop these for 0 mana after really kind of using all of your opponent's resources between turns 3 and 6, and you can play this on like a 7 and then kind of wrap the game up. So I think this is actually going to be pretty strong in Warlock and in that type of deck. In that type of deck, I want to say it's like a 4 or a 5 even. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm liking this card definitely a lot more now. I like it. Gandling! Ooh, I can't wait to try this guy. He looks awesome. Super dope artwork, and of course an awesome effect after you play a minion, destroy it, and summon a 4/4 failed student. 3/6 primo stat line, must kill immediately. You're going to be playing this in a zoo deck with lackeys. This is kind of like a second Takan, if you were willing to play 2 Takans in the deck, except it's better because you don't have the same effect. It's a different effect. You're going to be playing this with lackeys. You're going to be playing this with eggs. Maybe even with a new egg. This egg, maybe you can fit this into that deck. I think this is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be really strong in its own type of zoo deck. I think let's give this a 5. Although, you know what? I just don't know it's going to be that super amazing strong. We thought Takan was going to be a 5. And you know what? When you do get to play Takan, it is a 5. It is game winning. So for that reason, it is a 5. But just like Takan didn't see play for such a long time. It really was hard to make it work. I think it's really only come into favor most in this last couple metagames in the Ashes of Outland has really enabled Takan to be strong. So maybe that we'll see that same type of problem with this, but I don't think so. The stat line is just too sick. The threat is just too sick. I think the worst this can be is like a 4. You can just throw this out on turn 4 even if you don't play it with other things, and it just causes problems for your opponent because 6 health is so difficult to deal with, especially when you've been playing a zoo style game and you've been controlling the board. They just have a tough time clearing this without like using their whole turn, and then if they're using their whole turn to deal with this, you still have the rest of the board that you developed on your first 3 turns. Very strong, very strong. I love it. Bone Web Egg, summon 2 spiders. If you discard this, trigger its death rattle. Again, the discard is irrelevant, but summoning the 2/1 spiders is kind of cool. This only works with play, not summon. Very crucial to know. Maybe this works. Maybe this is an egg that you can kind of throw into your deck with gambling and things like that. But we do already have eggs. I don't think you want to be playing 4 eggs, and so maybe you just want to play the 3/4 serpent egg over the 2/1 spider egg. Not sure. Maybe you want to go wide with your zoo deck instead of going a little bit taller. And 2 health versus 3 health. I don't know if it's that relevant because most of the time the way you kill it is with like Evil Genius or like gambling or something like that. So not sure if it's going to work out. Maybe this is like a 2, but maybe it's worthwhile. Brittlebone Destroyer. This card is awesome. If your hero's health changes this turn, destroy a minion. Again, this works well with the Soul Fragments. I'm not sure. The only thing I'm not sure about is what deck this fits into. I don't know if this really fits into the Quest Warlock deck because we already have ways to clear things pretty easily. We're already trying to keep that board clear. Maybe it does. Maybe we can do it as a 6 mana tap and kill something, and you can run it over like Keladan or your Siphon Soul or something like that. Maybe this fits into a zoo deck as a single minion clear, but wouldn't you rather just run, if you're looking at this as like a sap kind of thing, wouldn't you rather just run a Maiev? Because you don't need to pay the extra 2 mana or extra something mana, like 1 mana with a tour guide or something like that, or have to rely on hitting a soul fragment the turn that you, like off the draw. So I'm not quite sure. I love this artwork. I love this concept. I can't wait to try this card out. I'm going to give it a 4, but I won't be too surprised if it doesn't really work out in Warlock. You can't really play it. And I also won't be too surprised if this card is just nuts and it is a hard 5. Yeah, so super excited to try Warlock. Super excited to try Rogue. Super excited to try Warrior as well. I'm very excited to try Mage. Maybe I'll try and do a thing for that a little later. I'm excited to try some Burst Shaman, maybe some Hunter, some Demon Hunter. I mean, we'll try and go through some more of these later. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy Scholomance. Can't wait.